Oh, Dan, I told you, he picked him up and slammed him.
He's so strong. You can hear that one in a big slam.
In the world of MMA, knockouts can come from anywhere, but none are quite as spectacular as a devastating slam. In this video, we'll showcase our take on 14 of the most incredible and bone-chilling slam knockouts in MMA history. And stay tuned for a bonus, as we'll also be showing you some of the craziest accidental slam knockouts that happen when a fighter least expected it. Other than that, one fighter in particular has made the slam his signature move, and therefore we featured him twice, so stay until the end to find out who it is. We've also ranked those fighters that didn't follow up with strikes after seeing their unconscious opponent higher up on this list, as that's true sportsmanship. So buckle up and get ready to witness some of the most unforgettable slams in MMA history, starting with this shocking encounter all the way back in 2003. Accidental Slam KO number 1. The fight between Falaniko Vitale and Matt Lindland took place at UFC 43. Lindland attempted a takedown on Vitale, but lost his balance and fell backward, causing Vitale to fall on top of him in a freak accident.
Vitale, and as you point out, maybe the submissions are Lindland's kryptonite. Oh.
Lindland was knocked unconscious and ate a few blows before the referee jumped in to stop the fight. Vitale was declared the winner by TKO due to the accidental slam. A knockout like this shows us that even the tiniest of mistakes from fighters can have a severely damaging impact. So choose your takedowns carefully. From an accidental takedown, or well executed one, let's move on to number 14 on our list, where one fighter executed a rather speedy takedown on their opponent. Number 14. Eddie Wineland versus Ken Stone took place at WEC 53. The fight started with both fighters exchanging strikes, but Wineland quickly took control and landed a powerful right hand that wobbled Stone. He then decides to jump guard on Wineland and locks in a tight body triangle and gets his arms over his neck. Eddie walks over to the side of the cage and leans against it. This was all so that he could pull his head out and get his hands in the right position to execute a beautiful slam that knocks Stone unconscious.
Go to the back to potentially get that choke. He's probably got a good one. Good job, and he is out! Eddie is in! Unbelievable! Wow, Eddie Wineland!
The fight was finished in just over 2 minutes, and is a pretty impressive knockout for a fighter more known for his boxing skill. Let's move on to the next jaw-dropping slam that only took 30 seconds to send shockwaves through the MMA world. Number 13. At UFC 30, Ortiz and Tanner seemed evenly matched coming into the bout. Tanner was challenging for the title as Ortiz was looking to defend it. With just over 30 seconds of the round elapsing, Ortiz scooped Tanner up and slammed him to the canvas, knocking him out cold.
199. He slimmed down and said, I'm in the best shape of my fighting career.
It was a swift and stunning end to what initially appeared to be a closely contested round, and the crowd was left in awe of Ortiz's power. After that swift battle between Ortiz and Tanner, we move on to another memorable fight that ended with a stunning slam knockout. Number 12. The UFC was in South Korea when welterweight fighters Dong Young Kim and Dominique Steele was set to square off in the octagon. The fight pretty much went back and forth up until the third round, with both fighters having their moment. However, it was Steele who saw an opportunity to end the fight in a spectacular fashion. As Kim went in for a takedown, Steele seized his chance and lifted Kim up high into the air, slamming him back to the canvas with incredible force.
Excellent timed right hand there from Kim, but another big takedown coming from Steele. Oh! And it's Hughes out for the takedown. Takedown knockouts.
The impact knocked Kim out cold, and the referee had to step in to stop Steele from raining down any more gruesome elbows. It was an impressive win for Steele and a devastating loss for Kim. After that impressive knockout by Steele that came late into the fight, it's time to move on to a slam KO that happened very quickly into that fight. Number 11. At UFC Fight Night 129 in Santiago, Chile, Gabriel Benitez delivered one of the most brutal slam knockouts in recent memory. Benitez wasted no time in dropping Humberto Bandenay in the first 15 seconds of the fight. Bandenay tried to defend himself and attempted a submission, but Benitez wasn't having it. As Bandenay went for an armbar and nearly extended it, Benitez hoisted him up and slammed him hard onto the mat.
Goodness! Benitez lifting Bandenay off, tries to slam him off, and he does, and he's out!
Bandenay's head bounced off the canvas, leaving him unconscious. Benitez followed up with a few strikes before the referee stepped in to stop the fight. He was declared the winner by TKO at just 39 seconds. Now, after seeing these beautifully executed slam knockouts, you might be thinking these takedowns don't seem too difficult to execute. If that is the case, then our next accidental slam might change your mind. Accidental slam KO number 2 in the flyweight bout between Jarrett Brooks and Jose Torres at UFC Fight Night 131. Both fighters had their moments in the first round, with Brooks landing heavy shots and taking Torres down. But Torres also showed his toughness and grappling skills by surviving and even threatening with a submission. In the second round, Torres denied Brooks' takedown attempts and countered with a takedown of his own. But Brooks was able to lift Torres up for a flashy backdrop slam.
Level change from Brooks, and he's going to dump Torres here. Bad move. Brooks is in trouble.
Unfortunately, Brooks slammed himself on the mat as well, knocking himself out almost unconscious. And Torres took advantage by landing some punches before the referee intervened to stop the fight. The accidental knockout was a shocking end to an otherwise competitive fight. After this accidental slam KO, it's time to move on to a slam that was very intentional in the women's strawweight division. Number 10. At UFC 237 in May of 2019, Rose Namajunas was set to defend her strawweight title against Jessica Andrade. In the first round, Namajunas used her striking and footwork to dominate Andrade, but Andrade remained dangerous with her power. In the second round, Andrade closed the distance and got inside Namajunas' reach with punches, but Namajunas continued the circle and used her jab effectively. Andrade eventually got a high crotch lift and slammed Namajunas to the canvas, with Namajunas still holding on to Andrade's arm. The impact knocked Namajunas unconscious, and the referee quickly intervened to stop her from taking any more blows. With this, Andrade was declared the new champion via TKO. We now turn our attention to another high-flying slam, this time from the early days of Pride Fighting Championship. Number 9. At the Pride Middleweight Grand Prix in 2004, Quentin Rampage Jackson faced off against Ricardo Arona. The fight was a rematch from their previous encounter, which Arona had won by unanimous decision. In the first round of the rematch, the two fighters had found themselves on the ground as Arona threatened with a triangle choke, while also throwing strikes to Rampage's head. Seeing an opportunity for an armbar, Arona began to attack the arm. Rampage, noticeably frustrated, got to his feet, lifted his opponent up, and landed a powerful slam that knocked out Arona and won him the fight.
Still got him a triangle choke area there.
No, it's dangerous. He's got to get out.
Triangle down. I told you, he picked him up and slammed him.
The slam was particularly devastating, and we'd be lying if we said it wasn't reminiscent of WWE moves performed by Batista and The Undertaker. This is one of the most iconic slams in MMA history, and a fun thing to note is that a TV show called Sports Science tested the power of Jackson's slams and concluded that they were the most powerful slams in MMA at the time. It's hard to leave this highlight behind, but it's time to move on to the next slam that left audiences in awe. Number 8. Rustam Khabilov is known for his impressive grappling skills, and his fight against Vinc Pichel was no exception. Khabilov took on Vinc Pichel in his UFC debut, and from the start, Khabilov was able to take Pichel down multiple times, and at one point took full mount. In the final moments of the round, Khabilov slammed Pichel onto his head, appearing to daze him.
Big UFC jitters being a possibility. I think not here.
He's so strong.
Oh, again, he's tossing him around. He may finish it right here.
He's out.
And it's all over.
Wow.
Khabilov followed up with punches that knocked Pichel out cold, prompting the referee to stop the fight. The knockout was so brutal that Pichel was out for several minutes and had to be stretchered out of the octagon. The previous fights on our list have been memorable for their spectacular finishes, but the next fight on our list is particularly significant for its controversial ending. Number 7. At UFC 16 in 1998, Shamrock faced off against Vinoviev in what is one of the quickest MMA knockouts in history. However, with just 20 seconds gone in the first round, Shamrock was able to execute a textbook double leg takedown that took Vinoviev crashing onto the mat and rendering him unconscious. The impact of the slam was so severe that Vinoviev had to be taken out of the octagon on a stretcher and transported to the hospital. He suffered a broken collarbone and a fractured vertebrae. Despite the violent nature of the takedown, the move was considered legal at the time, and Shamrock was declared the winner of the fight. Coming in next on our list is a fight that's not only famous for its slam knockout, but yet again also for its controversial ending. Number 6. In a fight between Matt Hughes and Carlos Newton, both fighters were putting on an incredible display of grappling skills. In the second round, Newton managed to get Hughes in a triangle choke, and it looked like the end was near for Hughes. However, Hughes managed to stand up and walk Newton to the side of the cage, and because he was so high up, he was able to use the top of the cage to prevent the slam. The two fighters seemed to be in limbo, with Hughes fighting the pressure of the choke and Newton squeezing with all his might. Finally, Hughes managed to slam his opponent onto the mat in an attempt to escape the choke. Newton's head hit the canvas hard and he was knocked out cold. Hughes was visibly confused and disoriented and didn't follow up with any strikes either. However, the referee declared him the winner as his opponent was out cold. This knockout could be seen as accidental, but will still count it as Hughes knew what he was trying to do with that last-ditch slam. Having said that, we've saved the best accidental slam KO next up on our list, which was ruled a no contest due to how strange it all went down. Accidental slam KO number 3. In our third and final accidental takedown, we take a look at the lightweight bout between Guy Maynard and Rob Emerson at the Ultimate Fighter 5 final. In the second round, Maynard was pushing the pace on his opponent, and attempted a takedown where Emerson landed awkwardly and appeared to injure his ribs. However, what went unnoticed at the time was that Maynard slammed his own head to the ground at that exact same time. Emerson was tapping out due to the impact on his ribs, while Maynard was unconscious from the impact on his head. The referee immediately stopped the fight, and it was declared a no contest due to the accidental and bizarre nature of the takedown and the injury to Emerson. Truly, one of the most bizarre endings to an MMA fight. Moving on, the next few fights all made it to our top 5 because of the sportsmanship showed after knocking their opponents out. So let's get it on. Number 5. In the fight between Sarah Kaufman and Roxanne Modafferi, Kaufman had been dominating the fight on the feet, landing crisp strikes and nearly finishing Modafferi with a head kick. However, in the third round, Modafferi attempted a throw that backfired, leading to Kaufman slamming her to the mat. The impact knocked Modafferi out unconscious, resulting in a swift end to the fight. Despite the knockout, Kaufman showed great sportsmanship and refrained from following up with any strikes. This was also one of the first times we had ever seen a slam knockout in televised women's MMA history. And with that, we move on to another incredible slam that occurred at the UFC Apex just 10 years later. Number 4. In December of 2020, Wiman and Leavitt faced off in the octagon for a lightweight bout. Wiman started strong, landing some solid strikes and securing a takedown. However, just over 20 seconds into the first round, Leavitt executed an incredible double-leg takedown that lifted Wiman up in the air. As Wiman held on to Leavitt, the Monkey King walked him to the other side and slammed him to the ground with tremendous force, knocking him out cold.
Gonna walk him over to his corner.
The referee immediately waved off the fight, and Leavitt celebrated with a reference to Dirty Dancing in his corner. There were no follow-up strikes, and Leavitt walked off knowing that he had knocked his opponent out cold. Despite the brutal finish, Leavitt showed respect to his opponent and even went over to pay his respects to Wiman's wife after the fight. It was a wild and impressive victory for the Monkey King in his UFC debut. Moving on, our next fight features a devastating slam that left one fighter out cold as soon as he hit the mat thanks to his opponent's signature slam. Number 3. In this highly anticipated UFC matchup, Gerald Harris was looking to put on a show against his opponent David Branch. Both fighters had been trash-talking in the lead-up to the fight, and tensions were high in the octagon. The fight begins with Harris and Branch circling each other cautiously. Harris misses with a wild left hook and a right cross, but he manages to rattle Branch with a loopy right hand on top of the head. Harris presses his opponent into the cage and tries a single leg takedown, but Branch escapes. Harris then scores a double leg takedown against the fence and keeps Branch pinned. They exchange positions several times and Branch attempts a flying triangle choke, but misses. In the final seconds of round 3, as Branch drops the guard, Harris slams him and knocks him out cold.
See, he's reaching in for it. He goes right to full guard there.
Branch was unable to continue, and Harris, seeing that, refrained from throwing a strike that was already loaded and ready to fire. A classy move by the fighter that took the victory by TKO and also successfully backed up his trash talk with a devastating slam knockout. With 2 of the top 3 spots taken by Harris's thunderous slam knockouts, it's clear that this fighter was a force to be reckoned with in the octagon. Let's move on to our second-ranked knockout on the list, which, believe it or not, is more impressive than this one. Number 2. At LFC 63, in a fight that was filled with non-stop action, Gerald Harris faced off against Aaron Cobb. As the two fighters exchanged blows, it became clear that both were evenly matched. But in a split second, Harris lifted Cobb off the ground and slammed him down onto the mat with incredible force. The crowd erupted in amazement as Harris celebrated his stunning victory by flashing the deuces at his opponent, signaling that he was out of here. The ability to know how strong your signature move is goes a long way, and that's probably why Gerald Harris knew that all he needed to do was get his arms in the right position to deliver the slam KO, and nothing else would be needed. With 2 devastating slams by Gerald Harris already on our list, it's hard to believe that there could be a more spectacular finish. But as we reach the top spot on our list, get ready to witness a knockout that only took 18 seconds to complete and made the crowd go wild. Number 1. Coming in at number 1 on our list, we have Lawrence Phillips and Ben Parker squaring off at a ONE Championship event in March 2023. As soon as the fight began, Phillips charged towards Parker, looking to take control of the fight early. Parker, however, attempted to counter with a throw but ended up in an unfavorable position. Phillips quickly took advantage, lifting Parker up and slamming him to the mat with a powerful slam. The impact was so brutal that Parker was left unconscious on the mat, and the referee had to intervene to stop the fight without any follow-up strikes thrown. The entire fight lasted just 18 seconds, and Phillips celebrated his victory with a confident walk-off, knowing he had just delivered one of the most impressive knockouts in MMA history. And there you have it, folks. We've just showcased 14 of the most unforgettable slam knockouts in MMA history. These knockouts required an incredible amount of strength, athleticism, and timing to execute, and they certainly did not disappoint. From Quentin Jackson's legendary slam to the strange no contest between Maynard and Emerson, each of these finishes will forever be etched in MMA history. So, what did you think of our list? Did we miss any of your favorite slam knockouts? Let us know in the comments below. And hey, we drop new videos every week, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a beat. Click right here to watch our video on a man that has a high chance of getting a slam knockout in the UFC. Trust us, you don't want to miss it. Or you can watch one of our videos recommended by the algorithm. Either way, thank you for tuning in. And we will catch you again in the next one.